We'll have you come up just a second, Paul.
You're up, Commissioner.
All right, Bannock County Commissioners are back in session with the Board of Equalization. The purpose of the Board of Equalization is to ensure, according to Idaho Code Section 63-502, that the market value for assessment purposes of the property has been properly determined by the assessor. We are not here to discuss taxes. It's crucial that you understand your role in the process. You as the taxpayer have the burden of proof, and that requires that you only provide a sufficient amount of factual evidence to sustain your burden of proof. A sufficient factual evidence means recent sales of comparable properties, professional appraisals, evidence of property condition damage or limitations that way, documentation of those factors, which may include photographs or other things documenting the condition. This is a formal hearing, and we ask that all testimony be respectful, relevant, and based on factual information, not opinion. And all individuals providing testimony will be sworn in. Each party will then be given 3 minutes to present their case. First the appellate, and then the assessor will be given 3 minutes. Our decision will be based on whether you've met the evidence standard and then all the relevant factors affecting your property's market value as of the assessment date of January 1. After our decision, you'll receive a letter outlining the decision. If you choose to appeal, which is your right, you can then go to the district court or to the state board of appeals, should you choose to appeal. With that, anybody who's going to testify today, please rise, and Nancy will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that any testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. We have one administrative thing to take care of real quick, and then Paul will have you come up after that. So,
This is on parcel RP SR2001100. Christine McCarty. After speaking with her yesterday, we did a couple updates to her home, and I just ask that you take the value of $299,064 as the new assessed value.
299,064.
Correct.
Okay. I would move on the parcel as indicated that we accept the assessor's recommendation of 299,064 with the reduction coming off of the improvements. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Come on up, Paul.
So how'd you get 64?
That's like 32 cents. How'd you get that? How'd you get 64?
64.
Is that a rounding error?
No, it's just what it came to when I updated the citing.
Okay.
Just came to that weird number.
All right, go ahead and introduce yourself, and then your 3 minutes will start.
My name is Paul Bowers, and I live here in Pocatello at, do I have that address?
You're good.
Okay. And I'm here to appeal my property value. So the assessed value this year is at $483,438, which is an increase of $170 or a little over $170,000 from last year's valuation. We did talk to the assessor's office. We have a split level home, and they said, well, because of the split level, they'll drop that by $6,500. So my comparable to my neighbors directly across the street from me, so they have a comparable sized house, and their value is at $336,000 approximately. And then also with the acreage, looking at the acreage in the area around there, they go for $55,000, and mine's assessed at $64,000. So there's some just around the corner on Kinghorn that have a little bit larger acreage at 0.84 acres, and it's at $55,000 where mine's, depending on where you look on the assessed value, some part of it says I have 0.72, which goes into the road, and part of it says I don't own the road. So I'm thinking about the charges and tolls on the road, maybe help pay for taxes, but anyway, so it should be, I think, 0.65, I think is where it's supposed to be. So I'm not sure where that valuation comes from, the 7.2 or the 6.4. But either way, it's still higher than the $55,000 that the other lots are assessed at. And then Also, they compare our property to property across town over in the, I'm not sure what the subdivision's called, but it's over by Highland up that way. So, and I don't live in Highland. They don't have free trailer parks next to their house, and they don't have a dilapidated house that has never been finished for the last 5 years, that doesn't have grass, doesn't have, it's not even livable because there's no water or sewer to it. And it's been a problem for a few years. Lots of apartments, lots of traffic congestion in my area, and so comparing my property to properties across town that do not have these problems is not a fair evaluation. I just want to have you take that into evaluation. And I didn't know, I do have some comparables as far as lots. I didn't know if I should give that to you or not. I wasn't informed that I could do that, so I didn't, okay. So, anyway, I yield my time.
Okay. Any questions from the assessor at this time?
No.
No. Any questions from the board at this time?
No.
All right, turn the time over to the assessor.
Afternoon, I'm Jason Smith, residential appraiser with Bannock County. Today we're going to go over parcel RPCPP 044103. Wanted to kind of state that in February of 2025, just recently, from a previous one of the BOEs in the past, there was a sound value that was removed, so it was a BOE decision made that was left on, and we ran a report and found it, and we removed it. So since 2021, yeah, and then, yeah, 2020 was actually 2021 when the BOE decision was made. For 4 years, it stayed at a static value on the improvement, and it really should have went up each year. So that dramatic increase of the improvement only, land actually kind of has been up and down as it should, but the house kind of stayed stagnant until it was removed, and that's thus therefore the huge increase from last year to this year. Also, they had called and I was able to find it was an incorrect house type, or we updated that to split entry. Sometimes they're hard to tell what, if it's 2-story or a ranch, but did verify that it was a split. It lowered it about $6,500. On the comparables, I actually did 2 sheets. So due to the size of the subject property, for that era, it was a little hard to find some of the comparables, but I still did. The subject, and I also compared them to split level, split entry, and 2-story, because they're all pretty much multi-level, and the values are real close. First comparable subject is $133 per square foot. Very similar square footage. On the comparable 1 is $141 per square foot. Comparable 2 is very similar square foot again. It's at $156. And comparable 3, again, very similar square footage, and it's coming in at $151. So all 3 of those comparables are above the subject. I know how you. It is in Pocatello, Chubbuck area, and I know sometimes the area you don't like them spread out so far. But again, due to the size of the home, it was a little tough. But I actually found another set of comparables just to bring them in a little closer to range. I did find one comparable that was actually a little bit larger.
Okay. Questions from the board?
No, for me, no increase on the improvement for 3 years. It's got to catch up. And so the comparables match, and that's where I'm at.
You're right, Jason. I'm going to hammer you on the comparables a little bit, but go ahead.
I appreciate Paul bringing it up, and I have a tendency to agree that there's something wrong with being the highest value house in your neighborhood. You almost need to be the lower price, and I do struggle with the comps that you can't find, because there probably isn't any in our local area. And I agree, some of the comps I think were a little farther on the hill, whatever, and so I do struggle with, I know the size, the style, and everything else is there, but I am aware of the neighborhood, especially the one straight across the street that just seems to be an ongoing, never-ending mess over there. And so I am somewhat conflicted, as Jeff said, because of how do we take into effect the neighborhood? How do we affect the neighborhood? The busy Quinn Street, the houses directly across the street are, a lot of them are very low. So I understand that what you're saying, it probably, is there a catch-up? I agree, there probably is, but I don't know what factor you take a house that's probably larger because of some remodeling, a larger size of lot, the corner lot, all those other things. That's where I'm struggling with trying to make it comparable with that.
Did you have a question, Paul, or a point?
I just wanted to remind you that the house, not the house that you discussed, but the house straight across from me, it's square footage and style, split level, almost the same, and that's about $80,000 valued. As far as the assessor, it's about $80,000 less, or $90,000 less.
That's the assessed value, not necessarily a sale. There was no sale. It was
They
just the
sold
assessed
their house a few years ago. That was part of when it got revalued a few years ago. They had to sell, and the assessor had it valued at very high, and it was about, the actual sale value was about $200,000 less than what the assessor put it at.
Is that the Olivers?
Yes.
The address on that is 3965 Henderson.
3965.
Yeah, and if you take out the lot and leave the lot prices where they're at,
Do you have a parcel number by chance?
I do, parcel number RPC PP 04402.
One more time.
Oh, yeah, 044402. Thank you.
Zero, right?
One more time. Sorry. 044402.
Got it. I just want to compare the two.
Yeah, because he does make a valid point if they have similar square footage.
Okay.
And again, as I go back and look at what the online market says, it has a little bit of a higher and a little bit of a lower. Yes, sir.
So on his house, they're actually pretty close to same square footage. Unfortunately, the data we have on that other home has a lot less unfinished square footage. So the value is, about $80,000 sounds, it's 800, 900 square foot difference in finished. That's going to make a huge difference.
Well, I would, again, based on what I'm seeing in the online world, and taking into account the neighborhood where it is at and what's across the street, I would move that we put the market value at $465,600. Discussion.
What did you say that number was? I'm sorry.
465,600. Ernie?
That's not bad. I mean,
I do know that, watching some of, at least my neighborhood, have sold, and they've sold very quickly and at a price that amazes me. So there is a demand, still of doing that. And of course, some of them are newer, some of them are not near as big, but it's amazing what they are selling for. So with that, if I could probably support your 465 number.
Okay, so back to you for argument.
well, and I just go back that you go 4 years without An increase. The highest rate of increase we've had in Idaho. You've made a lot of money in not paying for the value of that home. But you've got some data there, and I'm okay with that. I don't feel like he brought the data, I thought you brought the data.
True, but that's consistent with what I've been doing the last 3 or 4
Right.
years, so. With that, then I will,
So just a question, so next year, so I'm gonna do this again, because anyway. So can I give you comparables then? Is
Yes.
that possible?
yeah, when
Okay.
you submit your application, after you visit with the assessor, or when you submit your application, you can submit as much information as you would like to support your,
Okay, I wasn't aware of that information, otherwise I would have gave you a bunch of
And that
comparables.
should have been in a letter that you received with this.
I have everything that I got from the assessors, it was not in there.
okay,
So I will
Yeah.
take care of that next year.
okay. All right, so the motion is 465,600 on parcel RP RPCPP 044103. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. You get a letter telling you what today's decision was.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's three? Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, Evan. And Evan, I have to compliment you on your packet. What formula did you use in there? Because you got both Commissioner Bullock and I stumped. About halfway through, you've had this, what is it?
Mathematical equation.
Mathematical equation that was over my head. So well done. So go ahead and state your name, and then the time is yours. You have 3 minutes.
Evan Johnson. Thank you. I appreciate you guys taking your time, and I understand that you guys put a lot of effort into the evaluations of the properties. Yeah, so I talked with the county about what values were, what things factored into it, and one thing I felt did not get factored in is the large apartment complex that's there, Pocatello Heights, that's on between 17th and 15th, built in 1950s. That has, obviously brings in a lot more traffic to that area, as well as the demographic, if you will, of the individuals that live in those. So talking with a realtor that I have, he's been in the industry for over 40 years. He agreed that the value of that property should be about 10% less than other properties. And so I just asked that that be considered in the valuation of the property that's on parcel RPP OC 008500.
Okay, is that it? Okay. Any questions from the assessor? Okay, from the board?
No.
Okay, assessor, you have 3 minutes.
Parcel POC 008500 on 427 North 17th Avenue in Pocatello. Comparables, all similar acreage size within the same market area, similar year built, similar square footage, just over 3,000 square feet. During the sales review, the subject property was remodeled and updated in 2022. And then when we reviewed it in 2022, we made those updates and those adjustments from the sales information that was provided. So this gave the subject property an effective age of 1978. And on the comparable sheet, comparable number 2 had similar updates done, and was also given an effective age of 1963 from 1948. It was remodeled in 1990. According to our data, So this would bring that, the age of the subject property up to 1978. I found some comparables that are within the same era of when the home was built. Just to give an idea of what homes in that era are selling for and what the price per square foot looks like. It's all within line of where a subject property is currently sitting. The sales vicinity map just shows where those comparables lie in relation to the subject property. With that, we ask that the value be upheld for 2025 assessment.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board?
No, as I read through this, I mean, I appreciate you saying that there should be a 10% discount because of the apartments. But I also say that the area that it's in the university area gives it a 10% increase. So I would uphold.
Commissioner?
I would have to agree. I mean, I appreciate the effort of all of those gyrations of numbers and everything else, but I didn't see anything that would go against what the assessor had. There was just no evidence for me that would recommend anything other than just uphold theirs.
Okay. And I kind of agree. In fact, I think the market for the appraisal, the apartment complex is not new. And so I think that adjustment has already kind of been made in the market valuation around there. And I'm not going to beat her up on her comps because I think her comps are close enough that it works. So with that, I will accept a motion on the property at this time.
So on parcel RPP OC 008500, I'd make a motion that we uphold the assessor's value.
Okay, we have a motion. Any further discussion? No. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, you'll receive a letter outlining the decision today, and should you choose, you can appeal to the district court or to the State Board of Appeals.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
I didn't see the information that she had as far as the comps. Were those comps next to complexes?
No, but they're in the vicinity of the same neighborhood, both in the university and on the other side, so that's why I said, I looked very closely at that because I knew that that was a point of yours, and I felt that they were within reason. And again, as Commissioner Moser stated, because of your proximity to the university, felt like that offset some of the complex. Who's your realtor? Is it Kent England?
Mm-hmm.
That's my uncle, so tell him to give you better advice next time.
Well, and it is, I don't know what you consider as university, but it isn't on the south side of like center. It's on the north side, which is more
Right.
apartment complexes and
Right.
versus.
But again, I go back to it's been there long enough that the market is adjusted for that. It's not a surprise to anybody buying in that area.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Evan.
Mhm. Have a good day.
You too. Romney Abraham? I have that. Okay. He is not here, so we'll turn the time over to the assessor.
Okay, basically, we're going over parcel RPCPP 124901. I'm just gonna kind of cliff note it. He had said there needed to be some repairs, some maintenance for the home. He didn't really give, it was more of a replacement, not a cost to cure. It was more of a cost to replace. And there wasn't any other damage to the home, just that the roof needed replaced and his driveway needed replaced. He didn't provide any evidence showing where his values were. He did include the cost to replace, but yet again, that's considered maintenance, and there's my comparables that I've used. They all look like they need their roofs replaced, and driveways are, basically 1960-ish. My subject property is $117 per square foot. Comparable 1 and comparable 2 are both sitting at $161 per square foot. And comparable 3 is actually at a little bit of the lower end, but it's still above him at $126 per square foot. All of these are in the Johnny Creek area, very similar, and I just ask that you uphold the value.
Okay,
On the worksheet here, you have 468,000, so you come down.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
On the worksheet, it just says on your, that you went from 4.7 to 4.68.
Yeah, let me see what the change was with the environmental details. Oh, so, yes, it actually needs to be the assessor recommendation. Looks like there was a change that they removed the bathroom fixture. So they were able to lower it by about $2,000.
Okay. Which proves that you talked to him and,
Yep.
you tried.
One of the other assessor or appraisers talked to him.
Mr. Chair, on parcel RPRPCPP124901, I would move that we make the adjustment per the recommendation of the assessor's office to $468,144 with the change coming off the improvement.
okay, we have a motion. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And with that, we will stand